Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Lead with Giants TV. I have two giants here with me, Ted Coine and Mark Babbit, the authors of World Gone Social, How Companies and People Must Adapt in a Social Age. And we are in a social age, folks. We'll talk more about that. But let me do kind of quick introductions. We'll go around the room. Ted Coine, the pleasure is yours. Go ahead.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. You're right. I'm co-founder of Switch and Shift, of which Mark is also a proud member and part of the steering committee. And that's pretty much me in a nutshell. I wrote a book, and I'm really excited about my online community. Done.
Is that the book up there?
That is the book up there, as a matter of fact.
Where is it? All right. Mark, go right ahead, sir.
Oh, maybe you can't see it.
No, we can see it.
No, we can definitely see it. We can definitely see the plug.
All right.
So hi, everybody. Mark Babbit here. When I'm not steering Switch and Shift or helping steer Switch and Shift, I also run a talent community called U-Turn. And I'm also proud to say that we've just begun a new group for our military veterans to help them transition into their civilian careers called Forward Heroes, and we're just launching that. So fun to be here, Tal, and thank you very much for hosting us today.
Great. Do you ever sleep? I mean, you've got all these things going on for you. No?
No, Ted will tell you, I do not
sleep. He doesn't, Tal, and that's why he's so cranky all the time.
All right. Well, I got a cup of coffee in the back, break room back here, a cup of coffee for you. So, but folks, if 5 o'clock somewhere, so if you need to get yourself a drink, a patio lounge chair, please feel free to do so. This is going to be a fun evening. Let's go over to Liz and Sally.
Hi, I'm Liz. I'm coming to you from Salt Lake City today, and I'm excited to be here.
Great to have you. I'm here in Dallas, where it's 100+ degrees. So bear with me as the heat rolls over here. So let's get started. This is going to be 2-segment shows, and I'm really excited to have Ted and Mark here with us this afternoon. And for our audience, let's talk about a little bit about the book here. Define for us, each one of you in your own personal way, because I know you guys obviously started in a different way and actually met in the social world. But define for us really, how do you view the shift of where the industrial age has obviously coming to an end, and then we are in the social age now, as you described that wonderfully in the book. What does it mean for each one of you personally on your personal level? And let's go ahead and get Ted. Why don't you go ahead and start?
Sure. Let me start with the personal level first. So I was just kind of thinking to myself, gee, there's an awful lot of people in this book that we met through social. Like, so many of the examples we use are actually, we found the examples via our social relationships. And it turns out I was doing this list, and this person and this person and this person, I met this person on, Lead Change, this person Lead with Giants, this person Cuss Serve Chat, all on Twitter. I didn't meet this person on Twitter, but I met the person who introduced me via Twitter. So I'm going to write a post about that. I'm really excited. What social has done for us, now I've been on LinkedIn since the early 2000s, I don't know, 2002 or something. I've been on Facebook since a long time ago. Neither of them really, did much for the way I do business, for my career. I started tweeting about 2009, and man, that has changed everything. And I know more people who have. I was just speaking with an author today who is writing a book all about stories of people who connected via Twitter. Isn't that cool? So to get back to your question about why is this a social age, how did it begin? People have been talking about, the industrial age is over forever, and what we want to make sure people understand is that we're not talking about did the industrial age kind of wind down in the 20th century. It did officially, but people have been managing that way, leading their companies that way as if nothing has ever changed. So what we talk about in the book is, okay, the information age kind of set us up. The Web 1.0 really got us ready, but until people connected to each other, there wasn't this revolution in how companies are interacting with people. The shift has been entirely in the favor of individuals and society as opposed to companies. Companies can't spin anymore. And when you talk to company leaders who are terrified of change, and I know an awful lot of them who are, that's why. They don't quite understand what's gone on around them.
And we'll talk about that change as well. And let's, Mark, tell me, what does the whole shift of that industrial age going into social age mean for you personally, and then also career-wise, because you have a startup company and things like that, and that definitely impacted your company as well.
Right. Well, personally first, I'll tell you that, I'm an engineer by trade. I'm basically an introvert. I was not good at in-person networking. It was never comfortable for me ever. And so when somebody even started talking to me about being on Facebook or Twitter or any of those, I equated that process with the uncomfortable feeling I had whenever I had to step out of my comfort zone. And it took one night, it took one Twitter chat for me to realize social was different for me.
Mm-hmm.
I could be myself on social. I call it a keyboard clown. I could be the keyboard clown, right? Where I would never do that in person, right? I could be more, I don't know, myself, right? And so for me personally, that made a huge difference in my life. And then when we started U-Turn, we were actually going to be a business-to-business model through the universities and career centers, and that's how we were going to fund our company. And then the recession hit, and that simply was not an option. No, higher education had no money to spend. So my team came to me and said, "Look, we're gonna have to pivot. We're gonna go social media and blogging." And I said, "Okay, great. Let me know how that works out for you," because I didn't want anything to do with it. I didn't get it. I didn't want to get it. And it took that Twitter chat for me to become a convert. And now, not just U-Turn, but there's so many startups and so many small units of big companies that have found social as a way to champion their mission and to further their message. And with quite literally no money invested. I mean, U-Turn's monthly outgo is like $1,200 a month. Right, and yet we're in the Wall Street Journal and Inc. and Entrepreneur and Mashable 5 times and all this crazy exposure we get, all because we invested our time and energy into social media and blogging, and that is so different than it used to be. Even a decade ago, you could have never done that, Tal. A decade ago, you could have never launched a company purely on the back of messaging, on the back of digital messaging, and I think that's a huge advantage to all the people out there who maybe they don't want to be the next General Electric, but they do have a great idea and a great product and a great service, and they just need an edge.
Those are, as I was listening to what you were saying, sounds, it's almost like I could have not done what we're doing today 10 years ago, doing a Google Hangout for crying out loud and connecting with you guys, So I think, I'm honored to do this because I think you've got some wonderful ideas in this book, and I believe it's coming out September 17. Is that correct? Does that seem right as far as your release date?
Well, that's the official date. It's actually available on, let's see if I can get this right, Ted. It's available on Kindle this Sunday.
Yep.
Audible next Wednesday. 2 weeks after that, the hardcover is available through Amazon, and 2 weeks after that, it's available everywhere else.
Okay, well, I'm going to make a prediction. It's going to be a bestseller, because part that I really like about this, just to share that with our audience and you guys, is it's not just customer service or how we are social with customers. It's about online communities. It's about even just our own personal bubble, if you will, how we can become more social. So I think this is really a revolutionary book, and I'm looking forward to have more of our audience jump into it. The more, as the book will launch soon. I want to kind of piggyback on something that I think it's almost like a myth in a lot of companies, is that they think by going social, it means to open up a Facebook account or a Twitter account, and it's just so funny to me, and they really never get engaged. But I really love something, the story of Zappos, how Tony Hsieh years ago had all of his employees open up a Twitter account. And there was a genius method to the madness there. So I wish companies would look into. I'm interested in your feedback about this. Why do you guys are talking about CEOs of companies? Why do CEOs don't see the same vision that Tony Hsieh saw with Zapp as an opportunity to really go social like he did?
Well, if you think about his company too, they sell shoes online. Big deal. What separates them? What separates them is that they're such an amazing culture. They're not only customer focused, but they're also employee focused. They're also do things differently focused. And they stand out head and shoulders above other companies. If you want to know how to be successful, don't go looking for best practices. Best practices, that's the surest route to mediocrity. And you certainly don't stay in business being mediocre. What you want to do is find companies that are really amazing and find out why they're doing it so much more successfully than everybody else. So they're a perfect example. Their social media policy, I believe, is this is the whole thing, by the way. It's not pages and pages. It wasn't vetted by lawyers. The whole thing is be real and use good judgment. Done. Now here's the thing. If you're real and the real you stinks, okay, that's a problem, right? And that's something that maybe your boss or somebody at the company should talk to you about. Maybe mute down on the real you because the real you is just, shouldn't leave the house. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing, it's not use your best judgment. Your best judgment again could stink. It's use good judgment. Be smart. So with that kind of, you set people up for success. You tell them you believe in them, and then you hire people who are awesome. You give them a little like 101, this is smart and this is stupid kind of thing. I mean, that's, why not? You could do that around the water cooler. You don't even need a special class for it. And then let people go. It's amazing to me, Tal, when we hire, professionals, we vet them to make sure that they're really good at whatever it is they do. And then we tell them, oh, no. You've got to do exactly what we hired you for. Your brain may weigh 2 pounds 7 ounces, but guess what? We only want you to bring about 3 of those ounces to work. Leave the rest at home.
Right.
Really? I mean, why pay all that money on staff? Just have stupid people working for you. So if you treat them right, and they treat the people right at Zappos, the people who work at Zappos love Zappos, then let them evangelize. Let them represent your brand. And if they choose not to, hey, that's cool, right? Nobody's got a gun to their head. You have to represent us on social media 24/7. No. If you don't want to, don't do it.
Right.
It's a wonderful model to follow.
Yeah, especially companies, and I know Mark's company too, is when you're talking about marketing dollars. There is no marketing dollars anymore, but there's, like you were saying, these are my marketing people. These are going to be people who are going to do this for me. Mark, let me get your perspective on that as well.
Well, I think here's the thing, and we talk about this in the book, Tal. Right now, we have this. As we're transitioning from the industrial age to the social age, we have this practice where we add the word social media to the front of everything, right? Social media engagement, social media marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, can you imagine doing that with a telephone, right? Well, I have to do my telephone marketing now, right? You would never say that, right? So we're still in this transition thing where it's not marketing yet, it's social media marketing, right? And it's not listening, it's social listening. And I think that's a big thing, and that's a difference maker. The companies that don't differentiate between social and every other way they communicate with their customers, with their employees, with their vendors, even with their competitors, they don't differentiate between social and everything else. They're just doing it. And I think that's where this is all headed. Is pretty soon this is just going to become a normal part of our lives. This is how work is going to be done. This is how we're going to compete. And the companies like Zappos that do this well, or even the smallest teams within a big company that do this well, they're the ones that are getting all the attention. They're the ones that are getting the positive buzz on social. And then it seems you guys have all seen this. As soon as somebody does something really amazing on social, now all of a sudden we're on the Today Show, right? And that didn't cost us a penny. It didn't cost us a penny to treat somebody so well that it goes viral, and then boom, we're on Good Morning America, right? That
Right.
has never happened before in our history.
Right. No, and I think we'll definitely there's a point you mentioned there that I'd like to go on there on the second segment, but let me have Liz jump into our conversation as well.
I just, along those same lines, just briefly, as Ted mentioned, there's so many companies out there still operating kind of with the old school mentality, and a lot of these companies are resorting to outsourcing the social part of their organization and paying companies to do their tweeting and their Facebooking and that type of thing. And I feel like that is how can you be in charge of your own brand, and how can you really be vested in what's going on out there if you're actually just paying someone to have a presence? And I wonder what one or both of you think of that.
Well, I think that's a great point, Liz, and I'll give you some really good examples. Zappos happens to be one of them again, but you take Peter Aceto at ING Direct in Canada, now Tangerine. He took the same approach that Tony did. He basically said, I want all of my people to be social. I don't have a social media manager because we're all social. I don't have a social media team because everybody on my team, I want to be social. So there wasn't an outsourcing. There wasn't even a dedicated internal team. He said, I want everybody to take care of our customers well using social media. And that's a big difference. Now, compare that to a CEO who just hires an unpaid intern to start blasting tweets out, and somebody who outsources to an agency. And you see those little tick marks, here's a brilliant comment from the CEO, tick mark TA, right, for Tom Abernathy, that's really tweeting, right? I mean, that is a tough way to go. And the more we embrace social as leaders, from CEOs to that person running a 6-person team, the better we are for it. The more transparent we are, another buzzword, but the more authentic we are. People see who we are, then they want to, unless you're a troll, then they want to start working with us. They want to come to us for our expertise. They want to engage with us, and that's how it works now. Nobody listens to the commercial on CBS News anymore, right? Nobody wants to be talked at anymore. We want somebody who will listen, and that's what's happening at organizations like Peter's and Tony's. Everybody is a listener. Everybody is a communicator, and it doesn't matter if you're a warehouseman or the CEO. You're communicating on social.
And to build on this story with Peter himself has been very active on social. He's been leading the way. Talk about a social executive. And he said, the first value that I got out of it was just I wanted to find out more about it, and I opened up an account on Twitter so I could see what people are saying about my brand, about other banks in the Canadian market, and listen. Even though it's reading, we call it social listening. That way of starting with unfiltered information in real time from the people out there talking about your brand or not talking at all about your brand is invaluable. So that's the first thing you get out of it. The second thing is he started actually responding using Twitter to engage with people. And the nice thing about that is he was able to we have a story in the book. We interviewed him in the book, and in our section on the blue unicorn, which is what we call the social executive, because they're still so rare, but we'll get there. We have to give a hat tip to our friend Jim Clausen at IBM for that one. So Peter's a blue unicorn. He's there on social, and they ran an ad, and the ad was great. It was just a jokey kind of advertisement, and just a couple of people said this is really in bad taste. And the story is kind of long and complex, but the bottom line is Peter kind of thought about it and got a couple more responses from completely separate people, and he was able to, as the leader, because he was plugged in, to say, you know what, staff, here's the deal. I know that most people, millions of people seeing this ad, are not offended in any way. They don't take it as anything more than a joke, but we need to back off of this ad, stop running it, because we are not the kind of company that insults our customers. And the nice thing about that is, had he not been a social executive, had he personally not been on Twitter, not sending it off to some agency someplace in Madison Avenue that then outsources it. But had he not done it himself, he never would have made that decision. That was a very, that wasn't a Tylenol moment, certainly. He wasn't saving people's lives and rescuing his brand, but it was the right thing to do, and he did it because he was plugged in.
Great. This is an awesome conversation here because we're kind of tackling a couple of areas altogether, but our second segment will be more into, as Ted mentioned, more about the leadership and how people as leaders add value going social. So stay tuned to the second segment. We're going to end our first segment here, so thank you so much.